Which one should you buy?
The M5 MacBook Air or the M5 iPad Pro?
Well, that's a really tough question. So if you guys are excited, let's talk about your next computer, shall we?
Deciding between the M5 MacBook Air and the M5 MacBook Pro is really tough.
But it shouldn't be.
Because this M5 iPad Pro costs this whole package $2,000 and the M5 MacBook Air starts at $999.
So double the price. So why would you actually doubt between a computer that's half the price and almost as good, or even as good in some areas? I don't know, but if you are watching this video, then it's because you want to decide between an iPad Pro and a MacBook Air, and the budget is not the issue. So let's take that out of the way, the budget, because if you are deciding between these two computers and you don't know what to buy, the fairest question would be M4 iPad Pro versus M4 or M5 currently MacBook Pro, not the MacBook Air. Because it's that simple. The MacBook Air costs half the price. So if you are all about the money, buy the MacBook Air. All about the value, buy the MacBook Air. You don't need to watch the rest of the video. But now, if you are interested in keep going, let's discuss these two computers.
The M5 iPad Pro is a completely different machine than the M5 MacBook Air because it is a modular device.
The iPad Pro is built to be a modular device. You can remove it from its case. You can grab the Apple Pencil. You can write on it. You can save the Apple Pencil on its side and put it again on the Magic Keyboard and then start writing on it, use it as a normal computer, use the trackpad, use and integrate with iPadOS. And on top of all of that, you also have your fingers that can touch the display. And that's the biggest advantage of the iPad Pro. It's modularity. It's different use cases. You can use the iPad Pro as a simple media device on your couch to watch movies. Simple as that. You can use it as a drawing paper for your drawings if you love to draw. You can use it to schedule something really quick on your mind. You can use it to plan homes, plan everything. This is the device to take everywhere. You can take it on your friend's house, play games, you can take it everywhere. This is the device to do so, while the MacBook Air is not. The MacBook Air is a very portable machine. It's the lightest MacBook you can buy. It's so lightweight actually. The 13-inch MacBook Air is lighter than the whole package of the iPad Pro. And that's kind of impressive. That display is also amazing. That's a 13-inch LCD display. P3 color gamut.
It features the full-fat M5 chip.
And you can put almost like 2 terabytes of storage on that machine, just like the iPad Pro. But that's a different machine because it runs macOS. It only has a pointer and keyboard system, so you can only use your fingers to interact with a third-party system that will interact with software. With your fingers, you are directly interacting with the software. It's a different approach to computing from the beginning, and iPadOS doesn't hide that. The menu bars, the menu options, everything is built for touch. Everything is thought to be a touch-first experience, while macOS, it isn't. macOS is built to be a computer experience, so mouse and keyboard, a pointer experience. Everything is so small and precise, and so you can fit more information, more menus, and of course, more power on a single machine. And those are very big differences that you cannot overpass if you are comparing these two machines. Which one do you want? Which one do you prefer? Which one are you used to actually working on? And that's a very important question. I think that's, besides the price and the budget, the second most important question you can ask. Because if you don't actually want to use iPadOS, if you cannot handle iPadOS, the limitations and actual compromises that you have, then you cannot buy an iPad Pro. Even if you love the iPad Pro ecosystem, even if you love the iPad Pro's display, if you love the proposition of the iPad Pro, if you cannot live with iPadOS, don't buy it. You don't have any other option.
While with the M5 MacBook Air is a different story.
Because that machine, let me tell you, that machine supports everything. With the access to Parallels Desktop, you can actually use the M4 MacBook Air as a Windows computer. You can use it as a Linux computer. So the M4 MacBook Air is not tied to macOS actually. You can use it on every software that you want. And that's a very, very powerful thing about the M4 MacBook Air. Also, if you are used to having normal computer softwares with normal software support, you can use most things that computers support, then the MacBook Air is the option for you. If you love to use Microsoft Office from your normal apps that you are used to on Windows or even on Mac, the iPad Pro is different. All the Office apps on iPad Pro are less complete, just like every single app on the iPad that is from a computer. Adobe Photoshop, Final Cut Pro, Blackmagic, everything that you think that you can run on the iPad Pro that you run on your computer, it is not complete. It has some flaws, it has some incomplete menus, it's not as powerful. And in that regard, most people actually end up quitting the iPad Pro experience. So I think that the second major problem, besides the price, it's obviously the software system and the philosophy behind these two machines. And if you can overpass that, well, the road between choosing your computer just become much more simple. Why? Because now it's a fight between hardware, and here the iPad Pro wins clearly. You have a much better display. This is an OLED display, a 13-inch, 120Hz OLED display, while the MacBook Air has a 13-inch LCD display that is not a touchscreen, while the iPad Pro it is. Both feature the same chip, no issues there, and both feature the same amount of SSD available. And of course, the iPad Pro, in my opinion, features better speakers. You have a quad speaker system in both sides that, for this thin of a device, are kind of insane. Like, guys, trust me, these are stupendously good. While the MacBook Air speakers are a bit more teeny and less volume filling. That's my opinion. Some people prefer MacBook speakers. I do prefer the iPad Pro speakers all day. Unless you have a 16-inch MacBook Pro beside me, I will choose the iPad Pro speakers all day. And then the iPad Pro is super thin, super lightweight. The fact you can remove the keyboard, remove the trackpad whenever you don't want to use it, and use it as a simple big iPhone to play games, touchscreen games, to do apps, watch movies. You can remove the clutter and it becomes a much more simple device. And in terms of hardware, there's no question that the iPad Pro is much, much better than the MacBook Air. Is $2,000 worth? That's a different question. Is it twice the price worth? That's another question that you need to answer. So now you notice that you have several questions that you can answer that you will lead you to the answer. First is that if you don't have $2,000 to spend, your only option is the MacBook Air. If you are not capable of switching to iPadOS, or you think you are not going to be able to get used to it, then again, MacBook Air is the option for you. And here, on the hardware side, if you do really think that this hardware is so much superior, then you have to answer two questions. Is it $1,000 superior? And is it truly what I want for my computer? And those are the main questions that you need to answer, and you will decide your next computer. But you can move on. We can continue to talk about the differences between these two computers, especially on the I/O. The iPad Pro has two USB-C ports if you buy the Magic Keyboard. The first is the main USB-C Thunderbolt port on the iPad Pro, and the second is a secondary USB-C port on the Magic Keyboard only for charging. It uses the pin on the back of the iPad Pro to charge it via the case, and enables the other USB-C Thunderbolt port to use whatever you want. Maybe it's these types of adapters to connect stuff to the Vows app. Just like the MacBook Air, you have two USB-Cs, but the MacBook Air otherwise has two USB-C 3.0 ports, while here you have a Thunderbolt port. Or maybe it has Thunderbolt ports. Confirm that. I know it has two full-fat USB-Cs, this only has one, and that's a big issue. Oh, this one does not have headphone jack, while the MacBook Air does. Another thing to note. Another hardware win for the iPad Pro is the fact that it has front-facing cameras and back cameras. The front-facing center stage camera is pretty much the same as the MacBook Air, and that you are well served with both computers. But the back cameras on the iPad Pro are very useful for scanning documents and your environment whenever you need it, for even AI tasks, or I don't know what you want to take photos with. Don't take photos like old people on concerts or their kids shows, taking photos with the iPad. That's weird, but you can use it for several purposes that I see lots of value in. The MacBook Air does not have it. So that's a big plus. Both keyboards are the same. This has the full-fat Magic Keyboard. The MacBook Air has the full-fat Magic Keyboard. Completely the same keyboards, the same travel, everything is the same tactile feeling. You won't notice a big difference. Well, we'll notice the biggest difference though is on the trackpad. The trackpad on the iPad Pro's Magic Keyboard, this is a 13-inch guys, comparing the same size. It's so much smaller than the trackpad on the MacBook Air. That is kind of ridiculous. So I would say if you love big trackpads, the Magic Keyboard trackpad, it's small. It's not like wide enough. It's wide enough, but it's too short. So you will notice that if you think that's uncomfortable for you. Another reason to pick up the MacBook Air is cheaper, and it'll have better suited hardware for you. But of course, everything else pretty much the same, and you will notice that in terms of typing experience, user experience, having the touchscreen is a big advantage for the iPad Pro, and in my opinion, kind of a deal breaker these days if you are looking for a new laptop. Of course, most people, they want their computer for their everyday task, and their everyday task is simply open up the browser, search something else, use AI tasks, because most people use AI these days, and pretty much just use their apps that they are used to on their iPhone. So the biggest thing for me is I always advise people to buy the thing that they are most comfortable of spending their money on and suits them the best. But I cannot ignore that the iPad Pro is so much better prepared for the future, because this device is modular. It can adapt. It does everything. And in my opinion, it's more portable because you can know and think that, okay, if I don't need that big, bulky Magic Keyboard, I can remove it and take my iPad Pro just like this, everywhere. And then whenever I need it, I put it on the keyboard, I have a secondary protection for it, and I can use this as a laptop. And that comfort, that ease of mind that I have just compels me to buy the M4 iPad Pro. But obviously, if I don't have another computer, a cheap Windows laptop, or if I still prefer macOS over iPadOS, I cannot deny the MacBook Air is so much better. It's so much better. And overall, it's so much better value because these machines, like just the iPad Pro costs $1,300, and then the Apple Pencil $200, and then the Magic Keyboard another $400. It can get you up for $2,000 pretty easily. While the MacBook Air $999, that's it. And that's a very, very powerful machine with a very, very powerful price. So yeah, I know this video is tough. It might seem confusing, but again, focus on those 4 questions that I asked you. Do you have the budget for the iPad Pro first? This is twice the price. Secondly, can you use iPadOS? Are the compromises with iPadOS big enough? And I will state them right now. The fact that you don't have support from Windows apps, you cannot install virtual machines. It's very limited in terms of software available for it. And of course, you are stuck to iPadOS. Use iPadOS, you will know what I mean. And if you are comfortable with that, you can now move on for the next 2 questions, which are, do you think that really, do you need the extra hardware that the iPad Pro gives you, the touchscreen, the Magic Keyboard, and Apple Pencil combo, the fact you can remove it, and it's that $1,000 worth? And finally, the biggest question of them all, of course, which one do you want the most? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whatever I tell you, it's your opinion, it's your taste, and it's your actual will that will decide which one would you buy. So, thank you guys for watching. Drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel. I will have more of these comparison videos in the future. If you want to see more comparison between the MacBook Pros and the iPad Pros or MacBook Airs, whatever you want to see, tell me in the comments below and I will make them. Thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.